Good afternoon, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. Thank you so much for joining as we are about to discuss a very important topical matter. And this morning, we shall be looking at the deplorable conditions of the roads in Jamaica. That is a topic that needs a book to be written, right? Or several books, several tomes need to be written about the deplorable conditions of our roads in Jamaica. And people have been speaking about it. In fact, the internet, and I would dare challenge the government, the sitting government, the incumbent government, to look at the internet and see it's awash with information regarding the deplorable conditions of our roads. Our roads need help. They need to be fixed and they need to be repaired. A lot of them, I shouldn't say some of them, but many of them need to be totally rebuilt because they have not been rebuilt for years. All we're doing is patching and patching of roads, and that is not helping to solve the problems, the intractable problem. It has been a problem for decades. So can you imagine now the level of repair, the level of building that the government has to embark on to be able to provide functioning roads to the Jamaican people. And for tourists also, the government is on record of stating that it is using some Spanish-based marketing company to promote Brand Jamaica. Now, what nonsense is that? Brand Jamaica can be promoted by the people that we see go to Jamaica every day, by Jamaicans themselves, by ordinary Jamaicans who all right now they have cameras. They have cameras on their phone and they can make videos, very brief videos, put them up on TikTok or on Instagram, on YouTube, and people are seeing Jamaica every day, as it were. Every day there is some sort of video being posted about Jamaica and Jamaicans and about the infrastructure. People are seeing the dilapidated conditions of our roads, of our infrastructure in general. And I do not think the government is doing anything to improve on the image of the roads in Jamaica. But it's something that we need to understand. Recently, the election that was held in the United States, in which Kamala Harris lost the election, people have been commenting on it, including Jamaicans who think that she should have won. And because of racism and xenophobia and misogyny, she was not able to win the elections. We see here where there is a writer here in the Jamaican Observer. Her name is she's Chinese Jamaican. Laurie, right? So we have Jean Laurie Chin. That's Jean Laurie Chin. And she's talking about reflecting on the recently held US elections. She's saying, as Jamaicans in the US nervously await their fate under the upcoming Donald Trump presidency, our citizens here may be exploring their options. The US may not be as attractive as it used to be for people of color. So the United States was an attractive place before Donald Trump came on the scene. That's the impression that Jean Laura Chin is giving. And that is the impression that is coming from the so-called intellectuals, the pseudo-intellectuals that we have in Jamaica, because all they read is New York Times and the Washington Post and the Financial Times, and that is what formed their impression or their perspective of what is happening in the world. I was recently talking to a friend of mine, and I was telling her, in joke, that I was on the fascist train, and she was saying that, Andrew, you really, support that guy? So do you really support Kamala Harris? Do you really support Kamala Harris, who had absolutely no viable economic plans or policies for the American people? In fact, the American people have been telling her that they are suffering, that they can't buy groceries. They're also witnessing collapsing infrastructure. Many people do not have health insurance, and they have a laundry list of problems that they are experiencing. And Kamala Harris, all she demonstrated was deafening silence because it's hope and change. And she's presenting her opportunity economy. And as far as working class people were concerned, there were no opportunities in that opportunity economy. Right? That was an irony because where are the opportunities? People could not see the opportunity that she was presenting. And talk about racism, 20% of Black people voted for Donald Trump. Now, I'm not suggesting that Donald Trump is a savior and he's going to be a redeemer of what is happening and to restore America to her days of prosperity for the majority of people. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm suggesting here is that you cannot continue to reward people who are not going to be representing your interest. If Donald Trump, when he comes to power in 2025, does not give the American people what they want, his constituents, then they should vote him out. And if another person comes to power, including myself, I mean, they should vote me, that person, out of power, because that person or I not giving the people what they desire. Their needs are not being met. So, Laura Chin continues, Jean Laura Chin. Government and private sector can fuel their ambitions through tax breaks, mentorship, and scholarships. We're seeing complaints online about service at Students' Loan Bureau and the burden of loan repayment. Beneficiaries know that they have to migrate in order to stay current. So Jamaicans know that they have to migrate. They have to go to the United States, irrespective of this orange hair guy that has, gotten the keys again to the Oval Office. And what is very strange is that this orange hair guy was also in office in 2016 to 2017, rather, to 2021, and nothing fundamentally changed. So what are we talking about? What fundamentally changed when Barack Hussein Obama was also in office during 2019 to 2017? What fundamental change did he make? In fact, we were actually invaded by the United States for Dudas under Barack Hussein Obama. And he used military gear and military equipment that people normally use in war, which show that the United States was in war against Jamaica in 2010 rather, when Dudas was actually taken from Jamaica. It was a war. The United States was waging a war, a drug war against Jamaica during the Barack Hussein Obama's administration, something that could have been diplomatically solved. And the United States went down there with military arms and killed off our people, our Black people. And we were proud to give him, to welcome him in 2015 with a red carpet out for him because he's our president, he's our Black president, right? And this is the sort of thinking that is coming out of Jamaica. Now, what is Jean Laurie thinking about? What is she thinking? What is she thinking? What is in her brain where she's thinking that, this Donald Trump, the Donald Trump that is coming to office, is going to fundamentally change America's policies toward the Caribbean, towards Jamaica? Nothing is going to fundamentally change. The United States is on a quest for full spectrum dominance, and it's not going to change. Had Kamala Harris become the next president of the United States, if she were the current president-elect, she would have been the empress of the United States global empire. Donald Trump, just like Joseph Biden, just like the Barack Hussein Obama, or will be the emperor of the world, of the entire world. And he has keys and access to Jamaica, and he can do whatever he pleases with Jamaica, just like Kamala Harris would have done. She would have come there, kicked you, and you would not have cared because she is of Caribbean descent. Do you think because Donald Trump is of Scottish descent and perhaps Irish or German, do you think that he would have cared if the United States need to go and invade Germany? He doesn't care. In fact, he's already telling Germany that they need to pay their military budget. They need to contribute to America's, way of keeping them safe. He's not there saying, oh, my father was from Germany, so I need to be taking care of Germany, because the show does not run like that. So if you think Kamala Harris was going to take care of Jamaica or the Caribbean because she is of Jamaican descent and she has some Caribbean heritage and blood, where are you living? What world are you living in at the moment? Because that world that you're living in is a world of complete delusion, right? Because Kamala Harris would have done what she's supposed to do. If Jamaica, God forbid, enters into a disagreement with the United States, she is going to kick your butts. And she has absolutely, or would not have any apologies to make to you. Through the American Friends of Jamaica, more successful Jamaicans in diaspora have been supporting our program. I believe we may be getting greater attention from the diaspora, who may be dreaming of the day when they can return to a more harmonious environment in their homeland. It will never happen. It was interesting to see how many young people of Jamaican heritage or parentage were gathered at the Jamaican consulate in New York last year to acquire Jamaican citizenship. On their visits here, they may have discerned that Jamaica is the most racially harmonious country in the world. Right. Jamaica is the most racially harmonious country in the world. And let me not suggest here, I know that we behave differently in terms of looking at people, and I would commend Jamaicans and Jamaica for that, for having given its people this sort of, impression and education that, a person's color doesn't really matter. However, to say that we don't have racial and sort of color prejudices in Jamaica is to be lying, right? That is not true. And if you go into the boardrooms of Jamaica, if you see the people who are prosperous in Jamaica, you will see that many of them are not representative of the dominant culture. They're not. So what is she suggesting? What is, Jean suggesting? She knows that. She goes and she rubs soldiers with the shoulders with the upper echelon of society. And she sees that many of these people are not Black like myself. She knows that. They're not representative of the large majority of the people, of the skin tone, the skin hue of the Jamaican people. So why are we suggesting that we do not have, racial disharmony in Jamaica? We do. The thing about it is that the people are silenced. They cannot express their concerns. When Marcus Garvey did try to do that, they kicked him out, right? They kicked him out of Jamaica when he was presenting these salient facts and points to Jamaicans. They kicked him out because they don't want anybody to challenge the status quo in Jamaica. The ruling class does not desire for that to happen because there has not been a racial uprising in Jamaica. Had Marcus Garvey been successful, then we would perhaps have racial disharmony. Michael Manley attempted to do that also, and we know what happened to him. And since that time, Jamaicans have had no other option but to migrate. They realize that they cannot fight that sort of stringent, rigid racial structure and racial hierarchy that we have in Jamaica, because it's a caste system that we have there too. But we do not want to admit the fact. We want to pretend as if, just like we're saying we have this prosperous economy, we're going to say that we have this racial harmonious society, which is not true. Because if the truth were to be told to Jamaicans today, they would rise up and have a revolt. I'm not suggesting that they should, but I'm saying they would if they were educated. So that is what we are doing. Now, recently there's somebody on TikTok who actually presented to a situation in which of the roads. I wonder if I'm still having it here. I might have already taken that off. I might have to go back on TikTok to see where that information was. So join me back. Give me a second. So we have to educate ourselves about the history of our country, and we have to demand from our government what we need. There was a podcaster, an American podcaster, who was speaking recently upon the election of Donald Trump he's now the president-elect, about the whole question of when Barack Obama was demitting office there in the United States. A Black journalist asked him, "What did you do? Why didn't you do anything for the Black community?" Right? That is what the Black journalist asked him, to which he responded that Black Americans had not demanded anything of him. And that is why he did not give them any sort of help because they had not demanded anything of him, right? Now, let me share this thing with you now about the deplorable conditions of our roads given by, because the internet is awash, as I suggested, with videos, Jamaicans and tourists who are suggesting that our roads are in a deplorable condition. But listen to this Jamaican as he speaks. Let me share my screen with you so that you can see what he is saying here, right? Let me see if I can go back from the start, all right, and get it there. Why is it not clicking? Wow, this is terrible. Let me see if I can stop it. Okay, I have to go back here. Wow. Jesus. Okay, I don't know why. Both parties drive past and every day. It's mostly in a helicopter. Could never be driving on these roads. Don't blame the rain. We had 4 months of drought and nothing was done. Don't tell me about the highway. We never did that. We gave it to our country, put money in it and benefits from it every single month, even raising. Look at our infrastructure. Tell us to pay tax. We have to drop into the same hole and tax that fix and pay tax on those parts. People are dodging potholes. People are dying on the road every day because of the deplorable conditions on the roads. We need to do something if we're going to cover these roads. Deplorable for over this. Okay, so yeah, so this gentleman here. Yeah, let me stop it now. So he was talking about the deplorable conditions of our roads, and that is true, and our infrastructure in general. I think that we have, as I suggested, not demanded of our officials to do what they need to do to meet our needs. Now, I think what Jamaicans should do, they should tell the reigning government, the incumbent government, that if the roads are not fixed by election time, that they won't vote for the incumbent government, just like what Americans did to Kamala Harris. If you don't stop the war in the Gaza area, if you do not come to a ceasefire agreement with the Palestinians, we're not going to vote for the Democratic Party. And that's what the Arab Americans did. Why can't we do that to our government and let the current government lose the upcoming election? If they do not fix the roads, they need to fix the roads. They claim that they're washed with money. Use that money to fix the roads. If not, you will not get our votes. That is how we need to treat them. Right? We can't be acting like Black Americans who don't demand anything of the government. They just vote for Democratic Party. But we have to look at what they did. That 20% of them decided that they cannot continue. That situation in America cannot continue, where the Blacks just blindly give their votes to the Democratic Party, like we are doing to our both political parties in Jamaica. And they are not doing anything of value for the Jamaican people. But let's look at another infrastructure problem that was recently also on TBJ. So this is not just about what the podcasters and people on, let me see if I can see, maybe I'm not seeing it today. But there was yeah, I think this might be it. Yes, let me see if I can pull this up and you will see what this.
Stairway collapse. Stairway collapse.
No, this is not what I might not be able to see it, but the fact is that yesterday a staircase, yeah, this is it. So let me see if I can now share my screen with you so that you can listen to what the news report coming from TVJ, because some of you only believe what you see from TVJ and CVM, because that is the news that is credible to you, right? Okay, so let me see if I can share my screen. It's the sound is low.
She was the usual Sunday look at in front of the park.
This concrete stair collapsed and landed on another stair about 8 feet below. An elderly woman who was sitting on the structure at the time suffered minor injuries. She was taken to hospital for treatment.
If she was sitting down, she wasn't sitting down. If she wasn't sitting down, she had to give it to the theater. The whole building come down with her. But people said the staircase and everything come down with her.
The police and firefighters were quick on the scene. They secured the area and began assisting the most vulnerable. The sick and the children had to be lifted to safety below.
3 levels from the second floor, the third, and the fourth persons are left inside. What is happening now is members from the Jamaica Fire Brigade, they are assisting persons to get on the outside.
But even as they worked, a few stubborn residents could be seen walking beneath the rubble to access other parts of the property.
We as police has to do is to ensure that we secure the scene and allow the necessary department to offer such assistance.
Miss Maxine is one of those who required help. She's not well and did not have the agility to run to safety like others. She described the ordeal as frightening.
I did frightened and scared. And when I saw my daughter down here about scares and then you may have nerves problems, I'm gonna walk on that.
Fortunately, only one of the stairways here collapsed on Sunday, but there are at least 9 stairways here on this living complex, and all 9 have structural issues. I counted several cracks in the stairways, which raises several questions for many of the residents here. Why has no money been allocated to fix the problem?
From 3 years, no, last year them come down, so we get all the team from also. Them come and them have a meet with us right there. When them after them have the meet with us, them said to be fixed in 2 months' time. When them come September, by a number, 1 AM now, and I know if something ever happen, we wouldn't know. This is what we need help, man.
Mark Golding is the member of Parliament for Southern St. Andrew, the area in which the Thornton Park community falls. He explained he has been trying to get the building repaired for years, but the red tape in government meant the fix did not happen.
And the most recent correspondence from them was, I think, last Wednesday, God, where they wrote, because there are 2 other schemes which have some problems of this nature as well. And they said for this one, that the emergency procurement was blocked by the Procurement Commission. And so it has to go to limited tender. So it's a procurement issue within the government system that has prevented this from being addressed. But over the last year,
we were told by residents that at least 50 people live in the apartments impacted by the collapsed stair, and all face an uncertain future. Doing Anderson, News.
So like the United States, where people blame, let me turn this off. Yeah, where people blame the government for not doing what they're supposed to do. They blame the other party, right? So the Republicans will say the Democrats obstructed them, and the Democrats will say that the Republicans obstructed them. The same thing is happening in Jamaica, where the PNP is going to say that is the GLP, there are bureaucratic rules that are obstructing them from accomplishing the projects that they need to accomplish. And this is what Mark Golding was doing, right? He was suggesting that it is the procurement process that is at fault because he wanted to do it. His party wanted to do it, but they could not because of the bureaucracy in the government. And Mark Golding has the capacity to walk inside an office and say it has to be done. He has that power to do that. But he decides that he's going to make excuses, to advance excuses to suggest that he can't really solve the problem. Right? It's a GLP problem. But this has been a long-standing problem. So we have a collapsing infrastructure, whether it's at home, it's on the roads, it's in schools, the hospitals, wherever you go, the post office. Jamaica is collapsing. Jamaica is collapsing. The infrastructure of Jamaica is collapsing. And we've got to come to grips with that. We've got to come to an understanding of it and to say that this is a reality. And what are we going to do about it? And I think that Jamaicans need to demand right now from their politicians that enough is enough. We've had enough. And it's time now for you to fix this collapsing infrastructure called Jamaica. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you like, share, and subscribe. Remember now to share the video with as many people as possible so that the videos can be dispersed and we can get more subscribers. Subscribe to the channel. We have over 700 subscribers at this moment. So we need to get now to 1,000 subscribers. So please, we're near there. Why don't you subscribe? Just hit the subscription button free of cost. Just hit that button to your right where you see subscribe. Hit that button and you will be subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for joining. See you then. Bye.